There's just something about Destiny 2 when you freeze and shatter enemies consistently over and over again. It's very satisfying, and it also makes Onslaught a complete walk in the park. So in today's video, I've got a Warlock subclass build that revolves around the exotic Osmiomancy gloves, and now we're just going to cue a bunch of hot words that make this build sound awesome. First of all, you can infinitely freeze and shatter enemies. You have infinite stacks of frost armor, making you invincible, unlimited orbs of power generation, pretty much infinite armor charges to create special ammo, and or use these for surge mods, while also wielding the power of the Ergo with Arc Conductor giving you an arc shield on top of this. Anyway, I think that's enough hot words to maybe get you to stick around for a few more minutes, so let's start and get this build on the way. As always, if you are limited on time and you feel like these YouTube videos are wasting your time, in the description down below will be the dim link. Go ahead and click on it and copy the build. Just feel free to drop a like and subscribe down below on the way out. But anyway, let's get straight into this build. So, as we all know, this is the Warlock Osmiomancy Gloves exotic build, and in my personal opinion, using Osmiomancy works especially well by using specifically the Stasis subclass. Now, I know in the Prismatic subclass we do have access to Cold Snap grenades, however Stasis subclass offers fragments and aspects that unfortunately Prismatic doesn't offer, which, makes this build better than it would be if you were using Prismatic. Now, if you haven't seen the Osmiomancy gloves, basically what it does is it gives you a bonus Cold Snap grenade, meaning you have 2 grenades. Now, when you throw this grenade, if you do directly hit an enemy, it pretty much refunds a full 100% of your grenade energy back. So while you are playing this build, and as you are throwing your Cold Snap grenades out, try and at least hit the enemy so that it guarantees you another grenade. However, with the help of some mods and other fragments, if you do end up not hitting the enemy, and you do waste a bunch of grenade energy, you will actually get this grenade energy back very quickly. Now, pairing with this exotic, we are also going to be using the Ergo with the intrinsic trait being Arc Conductor. Now, the Arc Conductor is from the Risk Runner exotic. Now, basically, the way this one works is every time you do a heavy attack, it's going to form a little arc shield around you, and this shield will absorb arc damage, but it will also send out lightning bolts and zap everything around you. So pretty much the gameplay loop here is, send out your Cold Snap grenades, freeze everything in front of you, and then send out the Ergo to, go ahead and zap everything and shatter all of these frozen targets. Now, this build is extremely satisfying and it is also extremely effective. Now, one of the best things about this build that I like using the Ergo for is the fact that when you hold a sword out, you can see in that third-person view, which gives you a better view of the battlefield, allowing you to throw out your Cold Snaps in better positions where you want them to go. Not only this, but the Arc Conductor intrinsic trait actually deals a lot of damage, and allows you to shatter targets that you aren't even really looking at. As you may know, when you send out these Cold Snap grenades, it sends out little frozen seekers that freeze targets all around you that you can't really see, and having the Ergo Arc Conductor up will zap targets all around you that you aren't exactly looking at, shattering more targets. Anyway, let's jump over into the subclass to go over some aspects and fragments that we are going to be running. Now, in the Warlock subclass, we are using obviously Shade Binder, and we're going to be using the Cold Snap grenades. Jumping over to aspects here, Ice Flare Bolts and Glacial Harvest are very important. Ice Flare Bolts here will basically send out Seekers that will freeze other targets every single time we shatter a frozen target. This just helps us freeze more enemies on the map and deal more shatter damage. Pairing this with Glacial Harvest is very important as well. Basically, what this does is whenever we freeze targets, it spawns stasis shards around them. Once we pick these stasis shards up, it gives us frost armor, which gives us damage reduction. Unfortunately, in the Stasis subclass, we don't really have much health regeneration, so we counter this by getting stacks of frost armor, giving us a massive damage reduction. Now, because we are going to be permanently freezing so many things on the battlefield, we will have plenty of stasis shards to keep up the max stacks of frost armor, pretty much 24/7. Now, because we are going to be running the Whisper of Rime fragment, this allows us to get 8 stacks of frost armor, which counts to a 36% damage reduction. So pairing Glacial Harvest and also Whisper of Rime, this allows us to get a 36% damage reduction pretty much 24/7. As for our other fragments, we're going to be running Whisper of Fissures. This basically just increases the damage of our stasis shatters and also when we defeat frozen targets. Pairing this again with Whisper of Conduction, this will allow the stasis shards that we generate through Glacial Harvest to track towards us, making it easy enough to pick these up and keep our frost armor stacks up. And finally, Whisper of Shards. Again, whenever we do shatter a target, it's going to boost the regeneration of our grenade charge. Now, because this build revolves around sending out plenty of cold snap grenades, every time we shatter a frozen target, it's going to give us our grenade energy back. And this is just an infinite cycle here where we freeze enemies, shatter them, get our grenade back, etc, etc. Now let's jump over into some mods that make this build even better. So straight away on the helmet here, Arc Siphon is very important since our Ergo Sum is going to be getting most of the kills. This will allow us to create plenty of orbs of power, which will give us armor charges. Now, depending on what weapon you use in the primary slot, for me, I'm using the Imminence, which is obviously Strand, so that allows me to get more orbs of power with Strand weapon final blows. So, whatever weapon you're using here, just swap it out for that Siphon. Since we have a spare point, I just put on Radiant Light as it only costs 1 energy. As for the gloves here, double impact induction is very important, as this reduces our grenade cooldown as much as we possibly can every time we use a powered melee. Now, our powered melee will freeze targets, which helps the rotation, so you may as well be using this as much as you possibly can. And Bolstering Detonation here, again, just, reduces our class ability energy when we cause damage with grenades. And obviously, we're going to be doing that quite often. On the chest piece, just run whatever resistance mods you need for said activity. Over on the boots here, Invigoration is very important, reduces our melee cooldown every time we pick up an Orb of Power. Elemental Charge is very important here. This allows us to get armor charges from picking up Stasis Shards. Now, since we're going to be generating a lot of Stasis Shards, we should be getting quite a few armor charges here from Elemental Charge, which, allows us to get Surge mods and even Finisher mods, which I'm going to get into in a second. And also run Absolution here, which reduces more cooldowns when we pick up those Orbs of Power. On the Bond here, Special Finisher, as our main weapon of choice is the Ergo Sum, we're going to need some extra special ammo. And this is where, that Elemental Charge works very well. We're going to get armor charges and we use them to, create special ammo. Bomber is very important here. It reduces our grenade cooldown every time we use our, Healing Rift or Empowering Rift, whatever you run. And then Outreach again reduces more melee cooldown when we use our class ability. So pretty much all these mods just focus on reducing all of our cooldowns to, use them more. As for the stat distribution, 100 Resilience and 100 Discipline is very, very important. And you may as well try and get as much strength as you can, and also recovery. But that pretty much wraps the whole build up there. The gameplay loop is extremely simple. You want to pretty much make sure you throw your cold snap into a big group of ads, and obviously try and hit one of the ads directly so that you can refund that full grenade back. This grenade is going to freeze everything. Go ahead and run up to that stack of ads, and use your Ergo Sum to proc Arc Conductor. From here, you've got 6 seconds of a shield that zaps everything around you, so go ahead and run around and freeze more enemies with cold snap grenades, and the Ergo Sum's just going to do all the hard work for you. I've been having a lot of fun with this build recently, and I definitely recommend you Guardians give it a go. And like I said earlier in the video, in the description down below, there will be a dim link. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, feel free to drop a like, subscribe, comment down below, and all that other fun stuff. But anyway, I'll see you in the next video. Later.